Ukraine's Airborne Assault Forces Command have showed 9 Russian prisoners of war captured in Kursk region. Among the captured Russians are 2 Ukrainian citizens. In addition to Russians, among the prisoners were also residents of the Autonomous Republic of Crimea, in particular, Yarmakov Andrei Nikolaevich, born in 1982 from Bakhchisarai, who served in the 810th Marine Brigade, and Afanasiev Dmitry Sergeyevich, born in 2003 from the village of Razdolnoy, who served in the same brigade. Footage of Russian servicemen of various ages being interrogated by paratroopers has been circulating on Telegram channels. The captives, who are privates and sergeants, served in the 810th Marine Brigade of the Russian Armed Forces. The Ukrainian paratroopers said that the Russian servicemen surrendered to survive and that they would soon be exchanged for Ukrainian servicemen who were being held in captivity.
Я Чащин Александр Владимирович, 12.08.98 года рождения, родом из Пермского края, города Губахи, Российская Федерация, рядовой, должность стрелок из 810-й бригады 1-й ДШБ.
Я Маркелов Александр Алексеевич, 12.10.1987 года рождения, Астраханская область, Камызяцкий район, село Никольское, штурмовик рядовой, 810-я бригада, морская пехота.
Я Милых Сергей Михайлович, 22.04.91 года рождения, город Воронеж, рожден, Российская Федерация, младший сержант-стрелок, 352-й полк, 4-й бат, 13-я рота, 3-й взвод.
Я Долгодворов Дмитрий Васильевич, 1964 года, 8 марта, родился в городе Мурманске. Рядовой, 30-й полк, мотострелковой дивизии.
Я Ермаков Андрей Николаевич, 27 марта 1982 года рождения. Родился в Крыму, город Бахчисарай. 810-я бригада, 3-я рота, рядовой, номер расчета.
Я Варичев Денис Михайлович, 8 февраля 1983 года рождения. Рядовой, 352-й полк, оздоровительный. Родился Тамбовская область, город Моршанск.
Я Апанасенко Дмитрий Сергеевич, родился 17.07.2003 года рождения в Республике Крым, поселок городского типа Раздольная, должность командира отделения 3-й ДШБ, 810-я отдельная гвардейская бригада морской пехоты.
Я Радзевич Станислав Викторович, родился 21.10.2002 года рождения, родился в городе Нальчик, Кабардино-Балкарская республика. 40-я бригада, отдельная гвардейская пехота.
Я Гусев Антон Сергеевич, 24.08.1984 года рождения. Родом город Нижний Новгород, с 810-й бригады, рядовой стрілок.
Чергове поповнення обмінного фонду. Ці 9 військовослужбовців Російської Федерації здалися Збройним силам України на Курському напрямку. Таким чином, замість смерті на полі бою вони обрали життя. Закликаємо інших військовослужбовців Російської Федерації. Здавайтеся в полон, зберігайте своє життя. Слава Україні! Героям слава!
A MiG-29 fighter jet of the Ukrainian Air Force struck a hangar where the Russian army was storing ammunition. As a result of the strike with the AASM-250 Hammer bomb, made in France and distinguished by its high accuracy, the hangar containing the manpower and ammunition was blown up, and the servicemen there were killed. It should be noted that in recent days, the Ukrainian army has been increasingly striking the positions of the occupying Russian army with high-precision bombs made in the West and provided to Ukraine as part of military assistance. Such strikes are carried out both on bridges and logistics routes in Russian territory, as well as on important military facilities of the occupying forces and areas where military personnel gather in the occupied territories of Ukraine.
Devoted to Putin's policy of conquest by occupying neighboring independent states and sympathizing with collaborators, former Ukrainian and now temporarily Russian citizens seem to be beginning to learn the art of insight from the so-called SVO. Despite threats to be prosecuted under the criminal article on fakes about the Russian army, many appeals related to the impoverishment of the Russian people due to the war are appearing on the internet. Ukrainians from Melitopol, Mariupol, Crimea and Donbass, having forgotten about fear, are even recording appeals to Putin. Residents say they are fed up with the lies of Putin's government, and Putin is increasingly criticized. Not only regional media controlled by local authorities, but also federal media outlets, which publish a cry for help from those fleeing from Banderites in search of a better life, cannot remain on the sidelines. In the story of a Russian propagandist filmed in a camp of refugees from the Ukrainian Popasna who risked going somewhere after a full-scale invasion and destruction of their city by Russian occupiers, ended up in the wrong conditions. Now all that remains is disappointment after such a liberation of Donbass by the Russian world. Earlier, media reported that the Russians declared thousands of houses in Mariupol abandoned, although in fact this housing belongs to Ukrainians who died or became refugees during the siege of this city 3 years ago. It is worth noting that the Russian authorities have wanted to get their hands on the housing abandoned by Ukrainians for a long time. Thus, in the summer of 2024, the local administration recognized about 5,700 houses or apartments as ownerless and therefore subject to seizure. According to an investigation by BBC journalists, the vast majority of these apartments or private houses belonged to Ukrainian citizens who died in Russian bombing in 2022 or fled the city. By the way, according to the calculations of the international organization Human Rights Watch, at least 8,000 residents of Mariupol died as a result of the bombings by the Russian armed forces. According to documents analyzed by BBC Verify, in addition to the 2,200 apartments, more than 3,500 residential properties are being prepared for forced nationalization and are listed as potentially confiscated, that is, ownerless. In fact, the Russian authorities require registration under Russian law, but residents of Mariupol with Ukrainian passports who left the city simply cannot do this.